After learning to see money as a tool instead of a master, let's go deeper into what real financial freedom actually looks like. Master your money, because money reveals who you truly are more than almost anything else in life. It is not just currency. It is crystallized energy, time, and choices. And how you handle it determines whether you live as a free person or as a slave to your own desires. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, yet he wrote something powerful. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. This was not abstract philosophy for him. He lived it. Despite his immense wealth, Seneca regularly practiced voluntary discomfort. He would sleep on the floor and eat simple meals, just to remind himself that his happiness did not depend on luxury. Now here is a brutal truth most people do not want to hear. If you cannot control your spending, you cannot control your life. Every purchase you make is either moving you closer to freedom or pulling you deeper into slavery. There is no neutral ground. But money mastery is not about being cheap or denying yourself joy. It is about aligning your spending with your values and using money as a tool rather than letting it use you. When you buy something because you are sad, bored, or trying to impress others, money is using you. When you buy something because it genuinely adds value to your life or helps you serve others better, you are using money. The Stoics practice something called preferred indifference. These are things that are generally good to have, but do not determine your worth or happiness. Money belongs in this category. It is better to have than not have, but it should never become your master. Think about your last impulse purchase. You know the one. That item is probably sitting unused somewhere in your house right now. In that moment of buying, what were you really trying to purchase? Was it the object itself, or were you trying to buy a feeling, status, comfort, excitement, or acceptance? Here is a practice that can completely transform your relationship with money. Before making any non-essential purchase, pause and ask yourself, what am I really trying to buy here? If the answer is a feeling or experience, find a way to get that feeling without spending money first. Often, you will discover that you never needed the purchase at all. But true money mastery goes beyond simply controlling spending. It is about generating value. The Stoics believe deeply in contributing to the common good. When you focus on serving others through your work, money becomes a natural byproduct instead of the primary goal. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you earn and how you spend. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "In the morning, when you rise unwillingly, let this thought be present: I am rising to the work of a human being." When you see your work as service rather than just a way to make money, you bring excellence to it. And that excellence inevitably leads to greater financial rewards. Here is what changed my entire financial life. I started tracking not just where my money went, but how I felt after each purchase. I created 3 simple columns: purchase, reason, and feeling after. What I discovered shocked me. The purchases that brought lasting satisfaction were always aligned with my values. Books that expanded my mind, experiences with loved ones, tools that helped me serve others better. But the impulse buys, the status purchases, the emotional spending, those consistently left me feeling empty or regretful. This simple practice gave me clarity about my spending patterns that no budget app ever could. Money mastery also means understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Every dollar you spend should either protect your ability to earn more or increase your capacity to serve others. When you start thinking this way, you naturally begin building wealth instead of just consuming it. Remember, the goal is not to hoard money. The goal is to have enough freedom to be generous, to take calculated risks, and to make decisions based on what is right, not what you are afraid of. After learning to treat money as a tool for freedom, not a source of identity, we now arrive at the final pillar, the place where everything begins and everything ends: your mind. Master your mind, the command center of your entire life. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought you allow to stay is a seed you are planting. The real question is, what kind of harvest do you want to reap? Right now, as you are listening to this, thousands of thoughts are competing for your attention. Worries about tomorrow, regrets from yesterday, judgments about what you are hearing, plans for later today. Most people live their entire lives as passive observers of this mental chaos, never realizing they actually have the power to choose which thoughts deserve their energy. Epictetus taught his students that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And he was not only talking about material wealth, he was pointing to mental wealth. When you stop entertaining every thought that knocks on the door of your consciousness, you become incredibly rich in peace and focus. Think about this for a moment. You would never allow strangers to walk into your home and rearrange your furniture. Yet every day, you let random thoughts walk into your mind and rearrange your entire emotional state. A single negative thought can derail your entire day if you give it permission to stay. The Stoics developed a powerful practice called prosoke, constant attention to the present moment and vigilant monitoring of your thoughts. It is not meditation in the modern sense. It is more like being a security guard for your own mind, deciding which thoughts get access and which ones are turned away. Here is a practice that can change your life immediately. For the next week, every time you catch yourself in a negative thought spiral, stop and ask yourself two simple questions. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it moving me toward the person I want to become, or pulling me away from that version of myself? If it is not serving you, consciously choose to replace it with a thought that does. But understand this: mind mastery is not about toxic positivity or pretending problems do not exist. It is about choosing productive thoughts over destructive ones. Instead of thinking, "This is terrible, and there is nothing I can do," you shift to, "This is challenging, and I need to find the best way forward." Same situation. Completely different mental experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." He understood that while he could not control the enemies of the Roman Empire, political intrigue, or even his own mortality, he had absolute sovereignty over his mental kingdom. Your mind is constantly telling you stories about what things mean. Someone does not smile at you, and your mind creates a story about rejection. Traffic is heavy, and your mind creates a story about being late and everything going wrong. Your boss asks to see you, and your mind immediately creates a story about being in trouble. But here is the power. You can rewrite these stories in real time. That person who did not smile might be dealing with their own struggles. Heavy traffic becomes an opportunity to practice patience or listen to something educational. Your boss wanting to see you might actually be good news. The ancient Stoics had a concept called the discipline of judgment. It is the practice of separating facts from the stories we tell ourselves about those facts. A fact is, it is raining. A story is, this rain is ruining my day. When you master this distinction, you become incredibly powerful because your emotional state stops being controlled by external circumstances. Try this right now. Think of something that has been stressing you lately. Now separate the actual facts from the story you are telling yourself about those facts. You will be amazed at how much of your stress comes from the story, not the facts. Your mind is also an incredibly powerful problem-solving tool when you direct it properly. Instead of letting it run wild with worry, give it specific problems to solve. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" ask, "What is the best way to handle this situation?" Your mind loves challenges, but it needs clear direction from you. And this is where true mastery begins. And once you've learned to guide your mind instead of letting it drag you along, the next stage of your journey will unlock a deeper level of meaning. Instead of asking, "What if things go wrong?" try changing the question to, "What is the best way to handle this situation?" Your mind loves challenges, but it needs you to give it clear direction. Remember, every thought you nurture is either building the person you are becoming or silently destroying it. In fact, you are thinking yourself into existence, moment by moment, day by day. Each thought is like a brick, and you are the architect of that structure. 5. The ripple effect, when mastery changes everything. Something wonderful happens when you begin to master these 4 areas. They don't just change individually, but create a ripple effect, transforming your entire life experience. It's like tuning a musical instrument. If just one string is tuned correctly, the others will sound better. When you master your words, people begin to seek your advice because your words carry weight and wisdom. When you master your emotions, you become a haven of tranquility that others naturally seek refuge in during times of turmoil. When you master your finances, you have the freedom to make decisions based on your values, not just survival. And when you master your mind, you see opportunities where others only see problems. But the real magic lies in the intersection of those 4 pillars. I want to tell you about Sarah, a single mother who attended my workshop last year. She came in completely exhausted, deeply in debt, constantly irritable with her children, sleepless with worry about the future, and trapped in a cycle of negative thoughts. 6 months later, Sarah sent me a message that brought me to tears. By applying these principles, she not only paid off her credit cards, but also started a small business. Her relationship with her children completely changed, as she learned to speak with love instead of anger. But most importantly, Sarah said she felt like herself again, calmer, more confident, and in control of her life.